Margareta Wahlström is head of the UNISDR. That is the United Nations arm of disaster risk reduction. For over 30 years, Margareta has worked in disaster risk reduction and humanitarian relief all over the world.
No other place in the world may have more reason to embrace disaster risk reduction than the Pacific and all small island states. Let me start by thanking the government of France for hosting this very important event here in today. Distinguished colleagues of the National Emergency Management Agency of Mongolia, dear colleagues, greetings from Geneva. Some of my colleagues in the UN system, they once said to me, you must have the most difficult job in the world. Just keep trying to convince people about doing something that is so eminently wise and no one will say you're wrong, but you can't get them to do it. So, how do you keep going with these things?
I think it might be useful first for you to explain your role, because you're not the person currently who's sending out blankets and shelter and food and medicines to the Philippines, are you? What's your job exactly?
Well, my job in the UN system, and in fact for the entire global system, is to advocate for, motivate and help to inspire, offer evidence for that investing in prevention and reducing future disaster risk really pays off. The mission of the office, and hence my mission as well, of course, is to use the knowledge that we have already, and it's a lot about how to mitigate and reduce the impact of disasters on people, societies, and businesses and government.
Entonces nuestro trabajo es realmente de tener esta conciencia muy clara, la atención muy aguda y todo el tiempo dar informaciones, evidencia, porque desastres cuesta demasiado para los países en el mundo hoy. ¿Cuál es el impacto económico, el impacto social y cuáles son las cosas que se puede hacer para prevenir y un poco disminuir el impacto? Eso es el trabajo que estamos haciendo.
The reason why we are driving the economic argument so hard is that classically disasters have not really been seen in economic terms. They are temporary losses, but there have been very little attention to the accumulation of losses and the developmental impact of it. The message is, unless risk is understood, and everyone, whatever their programmatic specialty is, if you are an agriculturalist, if you are an urban planner, if you are a social planner, you have to understand the risks and introduce the elements that can reduce and mitigate the impact. And we can only do this together. That small island development states remain a special case for sustainable development in view of their unique vulnerabilities. And your presence here today at this Pacific Forum is a strong sign that the region is responsive to the challenge and that you are working really hard to develop solutions to preserve your communities and to continue to build its ability to adapt in very innovative ways. My name is Margareta Wahlström. 2013 International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction is focusing on persons living with disability. Mobile systems and technology are the instrument that we have to develop further now to save even more lives. We've got good evidence that it works, but we also have evidence that a lot of the disasters cost more and more in terms of lives lost and economic losses. The private sector is part of society, so without them you cannot reduce risk. But also private sector is, in any country in the world today represents 75 to 90% of all investments. Y otra vez me despido con mucho cariño y con mucho placer. Gracias.